Good morning, wild friends. It has been winter and spring. Today, just minutes ago, it was snowing and then the sun was shining. So we'll see what happens during this. And it was raining earlier today. So I've been snowed on, rained on, breezed, and sunshine. It's been a great day. Today is Earth Day, April 22nd, 2021. And I guess it's just appropriate that we have all kinds of interesting weather on Earth Day. Earth Day was actually the brainchild of Wisconsin Senator Gaylord Nelson, who, after the 1969 oil spill in Santa Barbara, California, and watching college students where he was a professor at University of Wisconsin, march and against the anti-war movements, was inspired to do something for the earth. And he began Earth Day in 1970 to inspire awareness and appreciation for the Earth's environment. It is a unifying day each year. This year, President Biden convened a global climate summit on, today. And it is now part of an Earth Day network around the world with 193 countries doing some kind of awareness and observance on this particular day. But of course, we know that celebrating the Earth and caring for the Earth is more than a one day of the year project, and it takes all of us, and it takes us all the time. Genesis tells us, and the Lord planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man from whom he formed. 1 Corinthians says, moreover, it's required of stewards that they be found faithful. And we, as stewards of this earth, one chance to be stewards of this and to care for the earth. Psalms 24 says, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell in it. I am reminded today of several different things. One is from our Jesus Calling, and our Earth Day says, listen to me continually. I have much to communicate to you. So many people and situations are in need of prayer. I am training you to set your mind on me more and more, tuning out distractions through the help of the Holy Spirit. What better place to tune out a distraction than in the peaceful, quiet, calm, and beauty of a garden, with birdsong in the background, with the sunshine, and yes, even the wind and the rain and the snow, even in one day. You know, there were lots of environmentalists through the years. One of the older ones is John Muir. One of my favorite places on earth is to go to Muir Woods, the redwood forest in California. He is known as John of the Mountains and the father of the national parks. He was an early advocate of preservation of wilderness in the United States. He co-founded the Sierra Club, and he is personally responsible for helping preserve the Yosemite and Sequoia national parks. And of course that trickled into other things that then became the whole national park system. Aldo Leopold was interesting enough from Wisconsin. He lived in Baraboo. He was resourceful and used whatever he had. He was a naturalist, an ecologist, a forester, a conservationist, and environmentalist. He was a professor at University of Wisconsin, and he emphasized biodiversity and ecology. Did I tell you that John Muir was a professor? He wasn't. He was in California. It's Aldo Leopold. He emphasized biodiversity and ecology in his classes, and his ethics of nature and wildlife preservation had profound impact the environmental movement, especially here in Wisconsin. And you know, not every environmentalist has a living, breathing, real life place in history. One that comes to mind is Dr. Seuss's book, The Lorax, that was published in 1971, in part as a sister to Earth Day. And the Lorax, we know, was there to speak for the trees, and he was up against the Onceler. And the Onceler wanted, he wanted to do things his way. He was an opportunistic and money hungry person. The Lorax is a cautionary message, and it is an important today as ever. It is respect for the environment and all living creatures that will help us in the present and the planet as we preserve the planet for ourselves and our future generations. You know, the Onceler at the end is telling it starts at the end. And it says, way back in the days when the grass was still green, the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the Swami Swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place. And he reminisces about all of the Swami Swans and the brown barbelats who frisked and frolicked underneath the trees, the truffula trees, and the humming fish humming in the clear water. And then comes the Lorax after that first tree, that first truffula tree is cut down. And the Lorax says, Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax and I speak for the trees. For the trees have no tongues, and I am asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, what's that thing that you've made out of my truffula tuft? And of course, the Onceler says, look, Lorax, I said there's no cause for alarm. I chopped down one tree. I'm doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. And a thneed is a fine something that all people will need. And there you go. Once all people need them, and it takes one tree to make one, you know what happened next. So the Lorax tells him, sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. And of course, along comes somebody to buy it. The forest gets cut down. And at the end, the Onceler reminisces and looks back and says, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And so, a cautionary tale for all of us. I have repeated over and over a phrase that I heard, and it says, only when people realize that they can't eat money will they understand what they've done to the environment. It's only after we figure out we can't eat money. And that is what the Onceler figured out, that he couldn't eat money, and he had destroyed an awful lot of things because the plants were all gone, and so were the things that lived there. Joshua Dubois says in his President's Devotional for April 22nd, he has a quote from John Muir, actually. Oh, these vast, calm, measureless mountain days, inciting at once to work and rest, days in whose light everything seems equally divine, opening 1,000 windows to show us God. Nevermore, however weary, should one faint by the way who gains the blessing of one mountain day. Whatever his fate, long life, short life, stormy or calm, he is rich forever. Psalm 119 says, your faithfulness endures to all generations. You established the earth, and it abides. And Joshua Dubois says, these mountains have been here for thousands of years, even more, certainly not less. This ocean carried generations of creations long before it buoyed men. Underneath the asphalt and pavement is an old and earthen testament to God's creative impulses. The rocks beneath our feet, they run deep. You establish the earth, and it abides, says Psalms. And so too will we abide. Through seasons of change, through the blazing heat of summer and midnight cold of winter, we will abide. He established the earth, and he established us. His faithfulness endures to all generations. I'm sniffing because it's chilly out here. Maria Shriver, in a book that says, I've been thinking, says, here you are, sitting, taking a break before you hit the fast forward button on your life. Again, I get it. I'm just like you. I live on fast forward too. But I do have a wish for you. Before you go out and press that fast forward button, I'm hoping, actually, I'm praying that you'll have the courage to first press pause. That's right, press the pause button. I hope we can all learn about what I call the power of pause. As everybody else is rushing around like a lunatic out there, I dare you to do the opposite. I dare you to pause. Pausing allows you to take a beat, to take a breath in your life. I'm asking you and all of us to learn how to pause. She relates in another story that an email that she got from her brother with the subject line, an omen from God. He was a busy person, is a busy person, and devoted his life for working on behalf of others. And that's why he had an exchange with a doorman in Morocco that stopped him in his tracks. The doorman, who was trying to grab his attention and get him a cab, turned to him and said, "We have time here. Not like you in America. In America, you have no time, so you do not live." And it really made her brother stop and consider that perhaps that was exactly what he was doing. He wasn't taking time to live. What better place to take the time than in a garden? A God-kissed, sun-drenched, rain-soaked, snow-flurried garden. Whether it is filled with flowers or filled with beans and beets and tomatoes and potatoes, it doesn't matter. Jeremiah says, plant gardens and eat their produce. Amos says, bring people back, that God brought people back from exile to rebuild cities to live in, to plant vineyards and drink the wine, and to make gardens and eat their fruit. Ecclesiastes tells us that God made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. And so this Earth Day, I would encourage you to think about your garden. Ask God what you might do to care for the earth, care for His earth. And I close with this prayer. Dear God, help us rest within the bosom of your faithfulness. Help us feel the security of your ageless embrace in your glorious garden. This is Wow from the United Methodist Church of Whitefish Bay. Have a glorious, if I can reach the button, Earth Day.